I'm greatly amused that in the comments section there's people questioning Rishi Sunak and saying Rishi Sunak must be the worst prime minister, the first Asian prime minister and the worst prime minister, even eclipsing Liz Truss. I don't think that's possible somehow, but I certainly think he is going to go down in the ranks of the poorer prime ministers. But the worst prime minister must be a title held by Liz Truss, the marionette with the appalling hands. As for the idea of a hung parliament, well, I think this is fantasy. It's probably the sort of fantasy that's been stirred up by Michael Gove, who's it's another one of his little brags. What's hung in this parliament? He might be saying, and a pregnant pause. But I think the local elections have shown that my reservations about uh, a landslide Labour victory are misplaced. I think it's now almost certain that there will be a landslide. Uh, whether or not it's more than 80 seats as a majority, I don't know. I think that would be expecting a great deal. Uh, but it will be a protest against this present government rather than a a signal confidence in the Labour Party, and one would be looking to a second term to see support for Keir Starmer and his party as such. That may well come, but at the moment Keir Starmer is quite rightly and wisely avoiding putting out very many policies and avoiding queering the picture because the election will fall into his hands without him having to do very much. Mr. Sunak is very comfortably losing the election on his own, and noises made by Reform, by the Lib Dems, by the Greens will have little effect, except to stir the debate within the Conservative Party. And it's that debate within the Conservative Party and the failure of Rishi Sunak to look authentic. He doesn't look authentic because he's repeating somebody else's words. And it's a lack of authenticity which an audience now schooled on reality TV can smell. The stench of Rishi Sunak, this invented character. What would earn votes and what would probably save his reputation and put him above Liz Truss, because who wants to be beneath Liz Truss? Would be to embrace authenticity. He won't win the general election with it, but he might save his name. And, to be a footnote to Liz Truss, I think that's that's something that should urge anybody forward into action. And I strongly recommend a bracing taste of authentic Rishi Sunak, so that at least when the election comes, we can sigh and say, well, if only he'd been like that all the time. But Rwanda has to go.